Hi there and welcome. It's Frank Sardella, host of Will Work for Patients, your most humble host of the show, and I'm glad you're able to tune in to this new feature that I'm adding, which is an extension of the e-magazine that I started called Off the Air, and I decided to bring it onto video. And this is where we're going to be doing recaps, and we're going to talk about some of the things that occurred during the week. Sometimes I may post several of these in the week. It just depends on the occasion. So I want to talk to you in this first installment about some of the things that happened this week. One of the things that spawned me launching the Off the Air video series is because I had a relatively productive week. And I wanted to sort of recap it a little bit because in the last, let's say, less than 7 days, I've posted 4 episodes, which may be more than I posted all year. And in the last month, 5 episodes. And I have a whole bunch more cooked up and in the hopper ready to edit and go. And so you're going to be seeing a lot more coming. I've been listening to you. I've been listening to your feedback. And I've been answering a lot of questions for a lot of docs. And a lot of docs have been reaching out, whether it's from the podcast or not. And it's sort of served to, put my finger back on the pulse of what's happening and what would be helpful versus what would just be superfluous information that you may or may not be interested in listening to. The purpose of this podcast is not for you to listen for the sake of listening. It'd be the equivalent of playing in a garage band. So I had a purpose for starting this, and I really wanted to realign my purposes. So I re-examined some old episodes, some different guests, and what my guest lineup was going forward. And I did a bunch of solo episodes. So let me recap them for you first and talk to you about them, because I'd like to highly recommend that you listen to the most recent episode. Now, about a month ago, I posted an episode that was an interview episode. It was the Episode 47 is the Corporate Employees Boom, the 100 to 300 visit increase with Dr. Gary Fiber. Now, you're going to see a lot more of this person because not just because he was a guest on the show, not just because I've actually become an affiliate partner with him. We forged an affiliate partnership because he's got some brilliant products that he's made, but he is a near 30-year practice veteran, and I highly recommend you listen to episode 47 of the podcast. If you'd like to go direct to the webpage, you can find it willworkforpatients.com/max. Which is short for Maximum Performance Solutions, which is one of the mainline products that he deals with now in his coaching and consulting. He's been a veteran consultant as well. He's worked with everybody from here to Timbuktu in chiropractic, and he's helped a lot of practice owners really find their own. And much respect to him. It was a pleasure to have him here on the show. So I highly recommend episode 47. He did tell the story of how he indeed very quickly went from just under 100 visits to over 300 visits in an extremely short amount of time. No spoilers, though. You can go ahead and tune in. This past week, I just went gangbusters and not only posted 4 episodes, one of them was an in-studio interview. I love when I can do those when I have someone local, but I want to start with episode 48, which is how to be the voice inside people's heads. This is where I actually got into the value of the podcast, the audio podcast. Now, I don't want you to be disinterested because I want you to figure out what podcasting could be for you in lieu of doing an audio podcast. And I don't want you to count yourself out if you always wanted to do one, but you don't have the time to, the wherewithal to, or the ability to do it. I'm not going to suggest what every other podcaster suggests, and it is a pretty big market, and they suggest you take a course, or they offer you a course, or they train you to do it yourself. It is a lot of work, I will admit that, particularly the editing and putting it together, but also producing and teaching you how to be a good host, how to interest an audience, all of those factors which I cover. But broadcastwellness.com is the website for the overall sort of umbrella company that I created at the beginning of 2017, so about a year and a half or so ago, whereby I was able to put my editing and hosting skills to work. And not only do I teach people how to be a good host, but I actually produce their shows for them. And so that's an option for you. But I just want you to understand that is not a sales pitch. That is to get you to even understand the value of it in the first place. Even if you're looking at doing some course and doing it yourself, totally fine. Take advantage of that, because that will tell you what the real deal is and how it plugs in and what you should understand before you decide to go in and what your options are for that. But maybe you could creatively think with it and say, well, look, I'm going to go out and do talks, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to have a weekly talk in my office, so on and so forth, and figure out what your podcast would be per se. So episode 48, how to be the voice inside people's heads. It means what it says. It's a very literal title. And I want you to take that to heart, because whether you audio podcast or not, and if you do, whether you work with me or not, you should understand that you need to understand the mechanics of becoming the voice inside people's heads. Let's move on. I next released same day, episode 49, How to Turn Perfect Strangers into Perfect Patients. What a great title, isn't it? But it is another literal one, because it actually talks about bridging the gap, that crucial moment where that first contact is made with a patient. This is stuff that's only covered in the screening tapes, which as of this taping is very new. And I'm introducing that to you if you haven't heard it in the podcast yet. I've been talking a lot about the screening tapes. We have the podcasting tapes coming out, and then we have some more advanced. These are audio lecture series. So just like the podcast, when we release these lecture series, you'll be able to listen to those in the car, in your headphones at the gym, while you're commuting or what have you. I wanted to make it so that you don't have to sit there glued to the screen, that you could just listen, whatever it is you're doing, so on and so forth. You should be able to go ahead and learn while you're doing that. And audio is my medium, so you'll love the screening tapes when they come out. But the reason I'm bringing that up now is How to Turn Perfect Strangers into Perfect Patients actually breaches the subject of what I talk about in the screening tapes in many lectures. And it's sort of a summary and an overview of what that's about, but it's a learning experience in itself. So I highly recommend episode 49. Let me move on, because I'm really excited about episode 50, how to create an army of patient referral ambassadors. This, again, is a very literal thing. Right there in the title for you. The army of patient referral ambassadors is a concept that we're pushing. We do have a lecture series coming out and a webinar on it. Patient ambassadors are my coined word that I'm using for this particular program. And I will tell you, there's a lot more specific to it. There's a lot of mechanics involved in it, but this overview episode can be a game changer. I'm talking about the correct way for your patients to be promoting your practice, and all the things that I learned are actual no-nos, things that we've all thought were good. If you thought that sharing testimonials is a good thing to a brand new person, you better check again. And in that episode, I talked to you about what testimonials actually do, and I actually get you to prove it to yourself. I send you into the waiting room to read over your testimonials and see what I'm talking about. And they all contain the same element that I mentioned in that episode. And that specific element is actually what turns more people off than on, because they're not ready for that level. It's too advanced of a level. I'm very excited about that at this taping, that I will be releasing more audio lectures and then some video properties as well. There's even an online course cooking for it, and we have a lot of materials with it. And then finally, the big kahuna of the week was actually getting my guest into the studio here, which was very exciting for me, because this is one of my favorite new people that I met this year, and it was one of those chance accidental things. I don't want to give you any spoilers, because she and I spoke of the exact configuration of our chance quote unquote meeting. As you know, if you're a listener of the show, you know accidents don't happen to me. I say it repeatedly. Turns out she's a mile away from me, a mile away from my studio, and we even grew up in this area We're only a couple of years apart. We're both musicians, and our paths sort of converged after all these years. Surprisingly, they hadn't done it sooner. So I just wanted to turn you on to that episode because it's quite an interview. It actually gave me a keen understanding to be able to bring to you some new endorsements of that product that I'm doing outside of the podcast that are a very powerful, what I'm considering a very powerful screening tool that will bring screenings to you. Episode 51, The Secret to Make New Patients Come to You. Pretty self-explanatory. And actually, this girl is someone you'll want to hear from because she explains how random doctors are just referring to her without her solicitation. Her reputation precedes her for what she's been doing and how she revolutionized what she's doing. And she's not even a chiropractor. So listen to that episode. It'll get you thinking with modalities and how you could apply it to other things that you could be doing, or maybe that you already are doing that aren't working out so great, but you didn't understand the power of what you really have. And this unleashes that power for you. So do listen to episode 51 as well. What's coming down the pike? Well, a lot of stuff. I mentioned the screening tapes coming out. One of the things that I've been working on for the last year and a half was specifically in bringing on affiliate partnerships. We're up to 40 active partnerships as of October 18th. And the reason we have these partnerships is that I put them together to be able to bring a portfolio to anybody who comes my way, whether they become a client or not. A priority was to figure out what tools I could find that would actually bring the screening onto your own turf. You know, you can go out and you can screen people. That's something we've all been doing for a very long time. You can go out to a local community day or street fair or home show or mall show. You can go out to a corporate event, any of those things, and you can do screenings there, but they're off-site. So there's time intervening. You know, even the best booked appointments for day one consults are actually sometimes made in vain because the person is in that mindset and then they fall out of it. Now, that's something I teach in the true screening process, and with my revolutionary lifetime patient ladder is how to actually keep them in that mood straight along to be able to get them to actually show up and do several things beyond that, meaning be in a much more interested state of mind. But suffice to say that despite your best efforts, you do lose some. And if we could find a way to bring the screening onto your turf, that's really where we're going with that. I've coined that one as well in the Screening Experts and the Rogue Screener program with the true screening process. I've coined that home field advantage screenings, and that's what I'm going to be teaching. So what's rolling out as of October 2018, we have a webinar coming up on that. We have an online course, and we have more audio lectures coming out about that specifically, and how you will be attracting people to your practice that you will then screen and convert. And that conversion process happens only after a screening process, which is the skipped step. Even if you're doing other modalities to attract people into the practice, I guarantee you right now, you're going straight to the day one consult, which is missing the screening step. And we're going to be going over that in great detail. I even have some things coming up on networking that you'll be very, very interested in. I've actually taken the true screening process and I've revolutionized networking. One of the things that I figured out was how you can leverage these relationships in a much better way than just trying to solicit patients. Those violated points actually lead you not to be able to get the referrals you should be getting out of your business networking group. So I'm going to be doing a podcast on that, on a general overview to give you the idea, but it's going to be part of the networking tapes that are going to come out. So there's a lot of properties coming out. I am in the studio every day, just recording my ass off. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Suffice to say, you've got episodes 47 through 51 to listen to. Put it this way, you'll never get bored. You'll never run out of episodes again. And I can assure you of that because I am gung freaking ho with my crew to get this done. I've got some great guests. I'm just off of the New York Chiropractic Council convention this weekend. I was there with one of my affiliates, Avant Wellness Systems, and was endorsing them. I met more people that are like incredible guests we're about to have. I'm not going to give you any spoilers on that. I'm going to give you a little teaser, and I have to save something for episode 2 of Off the Air. Also, make sure you're on the mailing list. Go to willwork4patients.com. If you haven't been there in a while, a pop-up will come up and allow you to fill in your name and email address if it's not already on my list. That is for the publication that accompanies these videos and the thing that spawned the idea for these videos, which is Off the Air with Frank Sardella. And that is where I keep you informed. Now you're going to be informed of these videos when they come out, as well as the episode lists as they come up. I'm going to give you the links to the episodes, the titles of the episodes. We're going to discuss the content briefly, anything that comes up in there. The new partnerships we're forging, we're going to keep you up to date. I'm going to make it very, very valuable for you. So it's not just annoying email that's just promoting. I'm just in your face right now to get you to expand no matter what, even if I never speak to you. But again, I do like to get feedback. So please contact me, frank@screeningexperts.com. Give me feedback. Give me suggestions for episodes you want to hear. Anything you'd like to see in the Off the Air emag that I send out in the email. By the way, when you sign up for that, I believe I have a perk on the website right now, and you'll get one of my books that you normally pay a few bucks for. You'll get that for free, I think, if you join that. So make sure you go there, willwork4patients.com, and it should pop up. There's a bunch of episodes coming after this. So it's a pleasure to bring those to you, and I'm looking forward to doing it for you and having you here as well. It's a pleasure to have you join me, and I'll see you in the next episode.